So before we go to the questions of today, good evening. So last week, when doing our last discussion, the part one of this series, we asked a few questions and we tried as much as possible to do justice by giving answers to those questions. Now, I remember one of the questions we asked ourselves last week was, what does wealth mean to you as a person? And then why do you even want more money? Because of course we were able to decide or agree together last week that wealth is an accumulation of the valuable resources you have acquired. And me and you know that to acquire resources, one way or the other, money is needed. You need an exchange. Anything that is resourceful and is of value needs to be acquired. And the means of exchange is money. So for me to want to acquire something bigger than or much more than I presently have, I need much more money than I presently have to get that. And then we went to how does your mind react when you hear certain figures? What figures make your mind start pumping? Impossible. What figures make you start feeling this is too much to earn, this is too much to make within a particular time frame? And we concluded by asking what's our natural reaction when we see the wealthy people, when we see those who are wealthy, what's our natural reaction? How do we react? How do I naturally react when I see a wealthy person? Do I feel loving around them? Do I feel do I make them feel welcoming around me, or do I just suddenly go angry, go moody because a wealthy person is around me, or do I just begin to give some looks that depict pride or discomfort or insecurity because I see a wealthy person around me? And we agreed that all these questions, if we can answer them effectively, they would help us build the right mindset towards wealth. Because for you to build it with your hands, you first need to have it well built in your mind. And if your mind cannot carry a certain level of wealth, it will be a lifetime struggle to actually build it in the reality. So we pick up from where we stopped last week, as this is the part 2 of the wealth mindset series. The next question on our list today says, what does your mind tell you when you see luxuries you can't afford yet? What does your mind tell you the moment you see luxuries you cannot afford yet? At that moment, I can't afford this, and I'm seeing it around me. What does your mind tell you? Does your mind tell you, I can't afford this? Or does your mind start thinking, how can I afford this? I can't afford this stops you from thinking through how possible it is to make that thing a reality in your own life. How can I afford this makes your mind open up to the possibilities of making that a reality in your life. So whenever you see luxuries you cannot afford at that moment, what does your mind begin to tell you? Wow, this is too much to afford. You see someone cruising in a yacht and you look at the yacht and say, oh, I'm not sure if I work for the next 50 years of my life, I'm not sure I can put together resources that can make this possible. You see someone landing in his own private jet and you look, how? Are you sure I can ever have my own all through my lifetime? You see someone drive through a very luxurious ride and you say, man, is it even possible to put $80 million together to get something like this? Is it even possible to work and get this type of money to get this type of life? Or when you see things like that, you begin to imagine, you begin to think within yourself, what legal things can I do to be able to afford things like this easily? I tell people the things that are luxuries to you are basic to another set of people. The things that are luxuries to you are basic to another set of people. What makes those things luxuries to you are because you don't have the resources to acquire them at that moment. But the moment you can open up your mind and see the possibilities of owning those things too, those things that are luxuries at the moment, sometimes later becomes basic. Just check through your life. Just check through your life. There were things you once couldn't afford because of the price tag or because of whatever it will cost you to get it. But at some point, you were able to pull together resources that could help you get those stuffs. So that thing that looked so big at one point, now is the same thing you have in your hands, and you can get much more than that. The same way our minds needs to be opened up whenever we see luxuries around us. If one person can afford this thing, then I too can afford it. If one person on earth can afford this particular thing, I too can afford it. Anything created on earth, anything innovated on earth, any new invention coming to this planet is designed for those on this planet. So if I'm existing in this planet, whatever any man or woman is inventing was designed for people like myself. So if those things were designed for people on this planet and I exist on this planet, then I should be able to afford it. All I need to ask myself is, how can I afford this? But then it is beyond you just asking yourself, how do I afford this? You need to be willing to make sacrifices. You need to be willing to make sacrifices. So the question is, what are you willing to sacrifice for the level of wealth you want? What exactly are you willing to sacrifice for the level of wealth you want? What are you willing to sacrifice for the level of wealth that you really desire? If it were easy, everybody would be doing it. If it were cheap, everybody would be wealthy. If it wasn't stressful, everyone you know around you will be wealthy. The only reason why you have less than 5 people around you who are wealthy, the reason why you have less than 5% of people around you who are wealthy is because it doesn't come cheap. It's because it takes some level of sacrifice to be as wealthy as you really want to be. You must be willing to make some sacrifices. You must be willing to pay the price to be wealthy. So the question is, what am I willing to pay? What price am I willing to pay to get this level of wealth? What skill am I willing to learn? How much more am I willing to put into that skill to acquire this level of wealth? What don't I like to do naturally, but which I need to learn how to do so that it can become something of value to me, and then I can serve that value to the world in exchange for more money or in exchange for resources. You must be willing to make sacrifices. Wealth doesn't come cheaply. It doesn't come to the lazy, because it is not a sprint, it is a marathon. So it will demand from you over a long period of time. It is a game of who is willing to stay in the game. You must be willing to stay in the game. When it is not looking like it, you are still there in the game. When others have said, oh, I think at this point I cannot go any longer, you keep going. That's the energy. That's the sacrifice. That's it. That is exactly what it will cost you to be wealthy. So you must have made up your mind. What exactly am I willing to sacrifice for this level of wealth I am aspiring for? There are two schools of thoughts about money. some people tell you, you start talking to some people and some people look at you and say, money is not everything. And some other set of people will look at you and say, with more money, I can achieve more things. With the right set of money in my hands, I can get many things done on my list. We all have lists. List of things we wish to do, list of goals. But those things remain on paper for days, for weeks, for months, for years, because we don't have the resources to execute them. So what school of thought do you belong to? The school of thought that just nags and say money is not everything? Well, but the school of thought that says with more money I can get more things done. What school of thought do you belong to? You need to do is you need to search your own mind. You need to search your mind. Whenever things that involve money comes up, how do I react? Do I just feel like, well, money is not everything, I can't come and kill myself? There's no point having A when I can just have B and be fine. If I have a house and a car and then my kids are in a good school, I think that's all. Or do I want my kids to get the best of education and still have the best of life? Do I just want my kids to just go just anywhere, or I want them to really enjoy life at its fullest? What's your school of thought? What school of thoughts do you belong to? What does more money mean to you? And here we have a question. If you don't become wealthy, who will be affected? Remember the goal of this clan. The goal of this clan is not just for people who want to make more money. It is not just for people who want to be wealthy. It's for people who want to build legacies. People who are building transgenerational wealth. Wealth that will live even beyond their own existence. So to have the right wealth mindset, whatever it is you are planning to, whatever it is you are aiming for, whatever it is that you are planning as your own goal must be beyond you. It is easy to give up. It is easy to stop pushing if it is just you who is involved and you feel you are tired. The moment your goals, the reason why you want to be wealthy is connected to people, it becomes impossible. It becomes much more harder for you to quit than if it is just all about you. It's your own that if I don't become wealthy, these people in my family I want to help won't get that help they need. Your own could be those motherless children out there. I really want to do something serious for them, but I can only do that if I'm wealthy. And if I'm not wealthy, those lives will be affected. Your own could be rendering services to the needy without charge. We know if you don't become wealthy, this set of people will be affected. It is a question of who. If you listening to me right now don't become wealthy, who will be affected? If you don't have anyone on your list or a group of people on your list, then the motivation for wealth can die off at any point because you won't see beyond you. All you will be aiming for is your daily bread and probably a normal, comfortable life. And once you have that, you might not be willing to push again. The moment you have enough resources or money in your account that can get you pizza, get you burger, let you go on a solo vacation once in a year, and then you have a car to yourself, probably you have a bungalow to yourself, you might not even find the zeal to push anymore. That's why you see some people, they start the journey and along the line they just feel like, I think I'm okay like this, and they stop doing anything new to get more resources. When you say those who are truly wealthy, they don't stop at it till the point of death. Their head is always calculating, how do I make much more? Yet those who are really wealthy tell you long before they die, they've written will, and they are saying so percentage of all they will ever have as at the point of death should go to so set of people, not even their kids, because those set of people have become their own aim, their own goal to satisfy, which is why they just want to be wealthy. They've attached their wealth to a set of people who will be affected if you don't become wealthy. Who will be affected if you fail to become wealthy? If you don't have the such lists, you need to get pen and paper and write those lists. It is not just your kids, it's not just your immediate family members. Just check. There are so many people around you in your community, in your environment, in your state, in your country that needs help. You hear people say, I cannot go to the hospital for checkup over a sickness that all they need is just little amount of money. You hear people say, if only we got money to afford this surgery, we wouldn't have lost our mother. If only there was money for that treatment, our father would still be alive. Who are those who will be affected if you don't become wealthy? Lastly for tonight, so I like to keep it short, so we have time to think through all this. What goals will be crumbled if you fail financially? What goals, those goals you've set for yourself, what goals will be crumbled if you fail financially? If you for any reason fail financially today, what goals of yours will be crumbled? For those goals, you can't afford to fail. If you don't have such goals written down, get a pen and paper. Only you. It's not a competition. Don't check another person's goals. Just you and you alone. What are those things I want to achieve within the lifespan I have? I don't know when I'm going, but just before I leave this planet, I want this and this done. And if I fail financially, these things will crumble. You need that list. So do you have such list? If you don't, start writing. When you have all this at the back of your mind, those people you want to help, when they're always ringing in your head, those lives that you know are connected, those destinies that you know are connected to your success, once they are ringing in your mind constantly, once those goals of yours won't let you sleep, it becomes difficult to give up on the wealth journey, because it is a marathon and it is going to demand so much sacrifice from you. But a whole lot of people have started this journey and they die off halfway. I mean, they just give up. Like, I think I'm done with this journey. I think I can afford to be average. Simply because they don't have the right mindset towards wealth. They had no concrete reason why they were trying to build wealth. For you to have a mind that can create wealth and retain wealth is beyond just about creating it now. It's also about being able to retain it. For you to have the right mindset that helps you acquire more of assets than liabilities. The right mindset that makes money in your custody. That mindset that makes money work for you in your own custody. You need to have a clear picture of why exactly you need to make more money, or why exactly you need to be wealthy. Why do I necessarily want to build down for the next generation? Who exactly am I trying to build down for? Why? I was failed financially, but I cannot afford to fail financially. There must be a who you are trying not to fail financially. There must be a why you don't want to fail financially. When those keep ringing at the back of your mind, you get stronger on the journey, because as you go, get tougher, and it will take your own toughness to keep going. So we wrap up for tonight here. Don't forget, have a list of who and who and who and who will be affected if you don't become wealthy. And have a list of goals that will fail if you fail financially. And ask yourself, how much sacrifice am I willing to make sure that these goals don't fail, these people don't get affected. And remember, if one person can use that thing, if one person can have that thing you are admiring, then you too can. You too can. You cannot afford to fail a generation. You have everything in you. You have all it takes to win financially. That's not the reason you are here right now. That's the reason you are listening to me right now. Go all out and build wealth. Not just for self, but for the next generation. Let whatever it is you build be able to outlive you. Thank you. See you some other time. You hear from me soon. Have a blessed evening.